This is TaskSpoon, the series where I aim to complete the collection log one random task at a time. After nearly 2 years and over 4,000 hours of gameplay, I'm finally ready to take on RuneScape's endgame as I venture into the elite tier. Welcome to Season 4 of TaskSpoon. Hello everybody and welcome to episode 142 of the TaskSpoon series. In the last video, I got a little bit sidetracked. I decided to let myself train some skills that I don't normally get to train, where I got 99 construction. I also farmed through a bunch of the herb seeds that I have in the bank, and I made a bunch of potions for 98 herb lore. I got 98 thieving, trying to get a blood shard. Did a few tasks here and there, but in this episode, I want to get back to the tasks. That is my main focus of this video. Gonna see how many tasks I can actually do. And for starters, I need to roll a new one because I don't have a task. So let's go do that. The last task that I actually ended up completing in the last video was this Moon's Apparel task. So we can officially complete that one and roll a new one. I am hoping for something that actually gets me a cool item. So I'm thinking a raids task, maybe a Godswords dungeon task would be pretty cool. Maybe even like a Desert Treasure 2 boss task would be nice. Something that I get to go and do some PVM and get cool items from it. So let's see what it is. Get one unique drop from Godswords Dungeon. Perfect. As far as Godswords Dungeon unique items go, I'm definitely going to be going back to Zilyana. I would love a Sarah hilt. I think that would be amazing. Assuming that I ever get a shard one to actually make a blade to use either of my hilts. But yeah, a Sarah hilt would be awesome. And I don't really have anything else that I necessarily want. General Graardor, the only thing I have left is the boots, which would be useful for the clue step. But other than that, not really that useful. And as far as Krill and Kree go, honestly, the items aren't super useful. Arma would be cool, but the bosses are just so annoying for me right now that I don't really want to bother with them. So Zilyana is a lot easier, and I really want a hilt, and I really want a shard 1. So I'm going to go and get geared up, and we'll go get to it. The dream result for this task is that I get a shard 1 and then a Sarah hilt. That way I can actually make a blade and use both my Sarah and Bando's hilt. But realistically, probably far more likely, I'm going to end up with a Saradomin's Light, which is pretty much useless for me. But at least if I do get the Saradomin's Light, then the next Godswords Dungeon task, I'm guaranteed to get the Sarah hilt as long as I stay at Zilyana for long enough. So I guess it's not all bad, but yeah, Saradomin's Light would be very sad. Shard 1 would be amazing, and then a Sarah hilt would be awesome too. Okay, now for the real problem. I forget what all these tile markers are for. So I need to figure out what the heck I'm doing here. Give me a sec. No, that's not the right shard. Let's go! Oh my god, there's no way! What? There's absolutely no way that just happened. Okay, first of all, first thing I have to address, yes, I got another shard 3. That means 3 shard 3s, 2 shard 2s, 0 shard 1s, and I was very upset, but at the time, I was just trying to focus on, like, remembering what I was doing and not dying, so I forgot to, like, say any words, but that sucks. But then, I got the hilt. I have the... Look at this log, man! What even is this? I'm just now realizing how stupid this is going to be for my next Godswords Dungeon task. My options are go back to Zilyana for a Saradomin's Light. That's not going to happen. Go back to Graardor for the Bando's boots. I guess that might happen. I might go to Krill for a Staff of the Dead or a Zami hilt, but like, I don't really know if I care about either of those. Or I have to go to Kriara, and Kriara sucks. So I don't know what I'm gonna do next time. Honestly, I kind of forgot. I could go back to Nex. I don't know. We'll see. So I guess I'll just be putting this hilt next to my other hilts that I can't use and go and cry. I don't know. But I mean, I cannot complain whatsoever. That's just... This log is like This looks like a Leagues log. This is so stupid. What a way to start the day, though. Like, I finished recording everything before that last night, and I was getting tired, so I decided to go to bed and save it for this morning. Woke up, did a single 13 kill trip, and got a Sarah Hill. Like, the only way it could have been better is if that shard 3 that I got in the, like, second kill was a shard 1 instead. Other than that, that task was literally perfect. Anyways, just gonna go do this farm run, and then we'll go back and roll a new task. Now, the good news is, Godswords Dungeon is the task that I have the most left of in the Elite tier, so we are pretty likely to roll another one. Maybe not right now, but at least fairly soon, so hopefully we can get one of those and go and get one of those shard ones, but for now, we're just completing the task, and let's see what we're gonna go do. Get 5 new uniques from hard clues. Okay. So, the good thing about rolling a hard clue task right now, I've been very diligent about doing my clues. So, I have 22 hard caskets already in the bank, which might not be enough to complete the task, but it should be enough to give us a good head start, so the rest of the task should be pretty quick. As far as what do I want to see, I don't know. I mean, obviously any of the rare items are cool. Other than that, I don't think I really have a use for anything in particular, so let's just start opening. Okay, well that's a good start. Ancient D'hide boots, cool. That actually might be useful. No, I already have other Ancient D'hide. Whatever. 1 out of 5. And another one, Rune Shield H1, 2 out of 5. Alright, Bando's Plate Body, 3 out of 5. Gothic Stole, 4 out of 5. Unfortunately, Dupe Shield. Alright, Sarah D'hide Boots, 5 out of 5 on the last casket. Let's go. I mean, what is going on with my luck today? That's another task that went pretty much as good as I possibly could have asked for. I mean, obviously I could have, like, got 5 new uniques in 1 casket, but realistically, 5 new uniques in 22 caskets isn't bad at all, and we're done already. We can move on. Let's go. Alright, well, we're back on the spreadsheet. You know the deal. Complete the task. We are cruising today, and let's see what we're gonna go do. Get 2 unique ancient pages. Alright, well, it's boring, but it should be another quick one. I'm at 22 out of 26 ancient pages, and there is no dupe protection. I know it doesn't look like it, but it doesn't keep track of the dupes, so yeah, I'm just gonna go and search the skeleton like usual for these tasks, as that is the fastest way for me to get it done. But yeah, I guess we're just gonna hope for good luck on no dupes. Alright, so I went and activated that area for the NPC aggression timer. Now I just gotta wait 10 minutes for it to go away, so I brought some Alks to do while I'm here. And yeah, I'll see you in 10 minutes. Alright, and now somehow doing the task is going to be just as boring as waiting to do the task, because all we're going to be doing is searching the skeleton and then hopping worlds until we get 2 new pages. Yay. Alright, there is the first trip done. Lots of dupe pages, no new ones, unfortunately. And considering that's all this task is, I don't really know what I'm going to show you guys. So I guess next clip you see is probably going to be me getting a page. Hey, there we go. 1 more page is all I need. Unfortunately, there's someone else doing this right now at the same time as me, so like half the worlds that I try and hop to end up being looted already, and I have to go and find like a new stretch of worlds that haven't, so it's a little bit slower than I'd like, but I can't complain. There is another page on my second trip. Just gotta get 1 more. Hey, there we go. Let's go. Man, what a boring task. whatever, 2 free collection log slots, we'll take it. Let's move on. Alright, here we go again on the spreadsheet. Complete that one, and hopefully we get something more interesting. Get 1 unique drop from Godswords dungeon. Let's go. So I've had a little bit of time to think about it, and I think the best thing for me to do is actually go back to bandos. Not necessarily for the bandos boots themselves, although I would like a pair for the clue step. More so just so that I could try and farm for a shard 1. As per my rules, once I'm done with all of the collection log slots in a boss on the spreadsheet, I am allowed to go and kill that boss whenever I want. So as long as I get the bandos boots, I'm allowed to stay there until I get a shard 1, which I think is probably gonna be my plan. I'm just gonna kill Graardor until I get both the boots and a shard 1, no matter which order I get them in. And it doesn't really matter how long it takes, it's going to be worth it for me. So I'm going back to Graardor. I also don't mind Graardor. I think it's probably my favorite boss to farm, just because you can use Ancients to heal super easily, which makes the trips longer, which makes it less stressful. I feel like both Sarah and Zammy, you can't really do it as well. And obviously Kree is, well, Kree is a whole different thing. But yeah, I think we're going back to Graardor. I'm going to get geared up and ready to go. By the way, the bandos boots are a 1 in 381 drop rate, and I've already killed 451 of these guys, so we're already over the drop rate. Not that that affects future kills or drops, but I just thought it was funny that this log is also kind of messed up over the drop rate for bandos boots and under the drop rate for a bandos hilt, and I've got 2 hilts and no boots, so yeah, that's just another Godswords dungeon log that's all messed up. Also, because I've already done so much complaining about it, I thought I would mention the shard 1, or any specific shard, is a 1 in 762 chance from all of the Godswords dungeon bosses, but it also drops at a 1 in 1524 chance from all of the minions, meaning that if you kill the boss and all 3 minions, you have about a 1 in 305 chance to get any specific shard from a minion. So, slightly better odds than getting the boots themselves? Maybe? I don't know. I'm just really hoping for a shard 1 at this point. This is kind of random, but I needed something to AFK while I was eating dinner, and I had a bunch of U logs from the giant mole grind that I had last episode for the bird's nest. I've just been cutting them into unstrung longbows, and I'm gonna get a fletching level. 92 fletching. Neato. Well, this is gonna be the end of this trip. I got 35 kills this trip. I think that's my new record, which is pretty sick to see. This is only my 3rd trip back, so feels good to really get back in the swing of things, but obviously no drop, so yeah, just thought that was cool. 35 kills. Wow. Turns out there's actually a Grandmaster combat achievement to kill him 15 times in a privately rented instance, and considering that I just over doubled that, I think next time I'm just going to pay the money for the private instance, even though I don't really care about it. Considering I'm an Iron Man, but I want to get that combat achievement, so yeah, I'm glad I checked that. 6 free combat achievement points there. But first, I've got a farm run to do. I've got a couple clues here. Now that I'm out of hard caskets again, I need to remember to be doing these as much as possible, so yeah, I'm gonna go do those real quick. Okay, sure. Oh hey, guess who forgot to do a privately rented instance? It's me! I forgot! No! Why? Well, there is another good trip. A few less kills than last time. Didn't get any super restore drops, so I gotta leave a little early. But, yeah, unfortunately, again, forgot to rent a private instance. So I didn't get the combat achievement. I will remember it next time, I promise. Okay, so hear me out, Jagex. What if you put in a way to smelt down multiple of one Godsword shard and turn them into a different Godsword shard? You know, you could do like a 3-to-1 ratio kind of thing. You could put it over at the forge where you have to smelt down your Bando's armor to fortify the Torva. It would work like thematically and it would solve all of my problems. You know, you wouldn't put it in the collection log for doing that. You'd still have to get it as a drop for the clog, but think about it, Jagex. No, I don't need those. Well, at the very least, I can either use those for Death's Coffer or to break down to Fortify Torva at some point. I don't know, but this is going to be the 15 KC achievement. Cool. Yes, let's go. Oh my god, let's go. Well, another amazing trip there. 36 kills. I got a dupe tacits, and more importantly, finally got my shard 1. Let's go make a Godsword blade. I've had this Bando's hilt sitting in the bank for over 3 months, just sort of collecting dust. In fact, I have 2 Bando's hilts sitting in the bank, but I am so excited to actually be able to use this thing, along with the fact that I did just get the Sarah hilt. I don't really know where exactly I'm going to be using a Sarah Godsword, but just having the option is amazing. And I can finally smith this blade. Feels like it's been forever. Oh, it's one of those things where it's just like, it just signifies like another step on the account. Like, oh, it just looks so good. So if you don't know, you can actually just disassemble Godswords whenever you want to take the blade off. So I only actually need 1 blade, and I can put it on whichever Godsword I need to use at the time. Now, I would love to get another shard 1, so I don't have to do that, because it's just kind of annoying. And it looks better in the bank to have them. But this essentially means that I've unlocked a Bando's Godsword and a Sarah Godsword in a single drop, and that feels pretty good. Because this is the first time that I actually have access to these weapons, I do want to talk about their specs for a sec here. The Bando's Godsword is a defense-draining spec weapon, which might not sound as useful considering I already have a Dragon Warhammer, but it drains it in a little bit of a different way. Along with being able to drain other combat stats, the Bando's Godsword actually drains defense by a static number, versus the Dragon Warhammer drains it as a percentage. So the Dragon Warhammer drains it by 30% of the current level, so if the monster has 100 defense and you hit it, as long as you hit, it'll always drain it by 30, it'll go down to 70, versus the Bando's Godsword will drain their defense by however much damage you do. So if you actually hit like a 60, it would go down to 40 defense. So in certain situations, the Bando's Godsword is a lot better, especially on lower defense monsters. But as I said before, it also drains other combat stats. So if you get their defense all the way to 0, it starts draining their attacks. I don't actually have the exact, I can pull up the exact order. I think it's defense, strength, attack, prayer, magic range or something. I don't remember the exact order, but essentially you can drain all of their combat stats to 0, which most of the time you don't actually get the enemy's defense to 0 just because they're way too high, at least on the enemies that you would be using it on. But in certain situations, specifically Corp, the strategy is actually to drain Corp stats so low that it basically can't hit you. So you just spec it over and over again with a Bando's Godsword, which isn't possible with any other spec weapon, especially not the Dragon Warhammer. So in certain situations, the Bando's Godsword is actually a lot better. Some situations it's about equal, and in rare situations it's a little bit worse. But either way, it is a great unlock. Now, the Sarah Godsword, on the other hand, is a prayer and health restoration spec weapon, which is super useful in certain situations that you have limited supplies. So I know a lot of people have been using it at the Fortis Coliseum because you're guaranteed to max hit on the ranged warband guy, and the amount of health and prayer that it restores is based on the damage that it does. It's 50% of the damage in health and 25% of the damage in prayer. It's just super useful for sustaining your stats in there. Essentially every wave you get a free max hit spec on something, and I'll show you if I can just drain my stats a little bit here. It's just really good. There's a lot of places that it ends up being super useful, and also it looks really cool, and I miss. That's embarrassing. Let's try that again. There we go. The wiki actually has a convenient thing that'll show all of the places that an item is on the strategy guide of the recommended items. And so for the Sarah Godsword, it has a bunch of things like Dagonoth Kings, Demonic Gorillas, Fortis Coliseum, General Graardor, which is funny, but it's only for the tank method, not for the Bofa method. Krill, Calfight Queen, Shamans, Nightmare, Slayer Task, Tazar Fight Caves, like all these different places that is just super useful at. And honestly, I don't really have any great spec weapons right now, or at least I should say I didn't really. And so the Bandos Godsword or the Sarah Godsword is going to fill in a lot of the niches for me of places that I don't have a good spec weapon. So this is honestly just massive for me. Oh yeah, and also there's a master clue step that you need a Bandos Godsword, Bandos Chestplate, and a Bandos Cloak. Unfortunately, I don't actually have the Bandos Cloak yet. So I haven't unlocked that step completely, but at least now I have the much harder one to get. So once I get a Bandos Cloak, that is another master clue step unlocked, along with hopefully these Bandos Boots that I should get soon, hopefully. So I was going to go gear up for my next trip because I still do need to get a Godswords dungeon unique because the shards count as passive items. And I kind of realized that maybe I want to try and take the Sarah Godsword. Now, nothing says that it's any good, but realistically, I find myself barely ever using the blowpipe, and the Sarah Godsword heals and gives prayer back. I just don't know how much I'm gonna, like, actually be able to hit with it, but because it's new, I'm gonna bring it, so just don't worry about it. No, I don't need those. So after one trip with the Sarah Godsword, I actually really like it. It's essentially just as much healing as the blowpipe, or so I found, and the prayer restoration is amazing. But there is one thing, if you take a look at the weight, this has a 10 weight compared to the blowpipe, which is a 0.5, which actually makes a pretty big difference when you're doing something that involves a lot of running. And so I found I was running out of run energy a fair amount. So I'm going to bring some staminas instead, just because I want to try something. But also, the new way that I've been stacking the minions is also draining my run a bit. So I'm going to try and find a setup that I can start on that stack tile, so the range minion will take that one step closer to me right at the start of the kill, and then still get into the Altar Door 6-0 method. I don't really know how I'm going to do it yet, but if I don't have to run over to that tile every time, then I'll save a lot of run energy. So that's my findings. I don't know if this is helpful for you guys, but yeah, I kind of like the Sarah Godsword. You know, the only thing I love more than farming is when you hit the subscribe button. What do you think, huh? You should do it. Right now. And a farming update for any of you that care. I've essentially farmed through like all of my herb seeds. Or at least I had until I spent like 2 hours eating dinner and pickpocketing master farmers. So I have a bunch more now. So that should last me a while. I needed something to do while I was eating dinner and figured why not just spam click on the seed guy. So now I have a bunch of herb seeds and my herbs are ready to go. So I'm going to go do another herb run. Then we're going back. Hey, let's go! We ended up getting it on kill number 616, which is a little bit dry for a 1 in 381 or whatever it is, but all things considered, just looking at my Bandos log, I can't complain. I mean, 3 tacits, 2 hilts, that'll be useful in the future, got everything I need, and maybe one day we'll come back for the pet, but for now, we are completely done with Graardor, and it feels amazing. Before we move on, I did just quickly want to mention what I ended up doing. Before, I said I wanted to try and start on that stack tile, but what ended up happening, if you don't know, for some reason, I think it's to try to prevent botting, but obviously that didn't work. Maybe it's just because the boss is really old, but the minions don't spawn at a consistent time. So after the boss spawns, there's a variance of ticks before the minions will spawn. I don't know exactly when or why it chooses, but what was ending up happening, if I started on that one tile, every once in a while, the minions wouldn't spawn in time for me to actually do anything there, and it just made it a little bit awkward. So what I ended up doing is just going over to that tile at one point in the cycle. Hopefully, if I'm good at editing, I'll put some clips on here to show you. But essentially, it just made it so I would have to do one long walk over to the tile and then one long walk back to the altar to get back in position. And that would set up the range minion for perfect barrage spot every time, as well as it actually made it, because I was walking there and back, I didn't run out of energy. I actually don't need the staminas at all. So that's a cool method. I think I'll try to remember that, but to be honest, it's going to be a long time until I go back, so maybe not super relevant for me, but I just want to talk to you guys about that. And Bandos boots, let's talk about those. So let's talk about the Bandos boots. They are bad. And that doesn't sound good, and that's because it's not. They are purely a defensive boot item, and honestly, boots just don't really have that many stats to begin with, so they're just not very good. If I put them on, you can compare them to the prims here. The prims have better attack, better strength, and actually better defense in everything other than range. The only advantage to the Bando's boots is 1 prayer bonus, but the Bando's boots can be upgraded using a black tourmaline core from Grotesque Guardians, which fortunately I just happen to already have. So if I do this, I don't know if there's an animation. Nope, okay. They turn into the Guardian boots, which are an upgraded version, which make them a little bit better. As you can see, still worse offensively, but at least now they're actually better defensively. They have a bit of prayer. They actually have +3 melee strength, which isn't too bad. And oftentimes the 2 melee strength difference actually doesn't add a max hit. So they end up being a little better sometimes, but realistically also not that good. The main reason I wanted these was mostly just for the Master Clue step, which both the Guardian boots and the Bando's boots work for. So at least we have a new Master Clue step unlocked. Looking at the wiki for the Guardian boots in the used and recommended equipment section, there is a lot of things that are like, this thing tank, this thing melee tank, melee tank, melee tank, tank. It's a very much tank focused boots, which is more useful when you have, what are they called? Friends to hit the boss for you. So not as useful for me, but you know what? I'm happy. I'm done with General Graardor. That was the main thing. I got my Godsword blade. I have a Bando's Godsword. I have a Sarah Godsword, and I don't have to go back there. So all things considered, I'm very happy with how the task went. So I'm going to go do a farm run, and we'll go roll a new task. Why, hello and good morning to the gamers. I know I just said that we were going to roll a new task, but I actually went to bed, and my intention was to roll a new task in the morning. But it turns out that it is Wednesday, my dudes, and there is a game update today, which might be the biggest game update they've ever done. So I want to talk about it. Today is the day that they've introduced the Project Rebalance changes to the game, which completely changes the way Mage works, slightly changes the way Range works, and very, very slightly changes the way Melee works. But I want to talk about all three real quick. They have completely redistributed magic percent damage on items, taking away the huge 10% from the Occult Necklace and reducing it down to 5%. They have added percent damage on other items. So for example, each piece of Arams adds 1% magic damage, the Eternal Boots adds 1% magic damage, and there's more that I don't have right now, but I'll maybe put a list of them on screen here. Either way, what actually ended up happening for me, when I wear my full best in slot magic gear, especially when I'm using Augury, my magic percent damage has actually gone up by like 5%. Which is cool for me. I know a lot of people are kind of annoyed at this with their shadow setups, but for me, it's actually really good. They've also completely changed 2 very important things. Number 1, they've made it so auto casting no longer has an artificial 1-tick delay. For some reason, auto casting since the beginning of RuneScape has just had a delay when you click on an enemy. It has a 1-tick delay before you can cast. They've officially taken that out of the game for all spellbooks. So whether you're on Ancient, Standard, Arceus, whatever, you no longer have that 1-tick delay, which essentially makes it as convenient as the powered staves. That's why the powered staves were so important, not having that 1-tick delay, as well as they're 1-tick faster in terms of attack speed. But that is just a very convenient update. It'll make the game feel a lot better to play, especially early when you're using elemental spells. But now you also will be using elemental spells a lot more. Along with the magic damage percent redistribution, they've also added elemental weaknesses to a lot of enemies, which means that you're going to be using the standard spellbook elemental spells more often, which is just really cool. I feel like elemental spells really fall off unless you're using a Tome of Fire, whereas now you're actually going to have a reason to use them. They've also changed the way they scale in their max hit and everything. It's a lot to go through, but the most important thing is that you now actually have a reason to use elemental spells on certain enemies. I'm not going to go through all the weaknesses because there's just way too many, but just know that elemental spells are now a lot more viable in a lot of places, so that is very cool. Next thing I want to talk about is the range changes. they now have a distinction between the 3 different attack styles for range. Now, they don't have different attack bonuses, but they do have different weaknesses. So for melee, it's obviously stab, slash, and crush. For range, they now have heavy, standard, and light ammo types. And certain enemies are going to be weak to the 3 different types of ranged attacks. So standard is bows, so like the bofa, magic short bow, that kind of stuff. Light is anything thrown or like darts or like a blowpipe, for example. And heavy is bolts and javelins. So there's actually going to be a reason to use different attack styles and maybe not just use the bofa everywhere, which is good, I think. I don't think they've made the bofa weaker anywhere. They've just made other things stronger certain places. So I think that's a good change. We'll see how that actually affects the meta in different places. Right now, it doesn't really seem to affect me because the bofa is so much stronger than my other attack styles. But in certain places, I might end up bringing like my Armadillo crossbow instead, just for certain things. I don't really know yet. Again, this just came out like for me, like I just woke up, so I've only read through it once, and I'm still trying to make sense of everything through here. But very cool, interesting idea. They're going to introduce more weaknesses to more enemies as they come out. Right now, the list is kind of small, but yeah, neat idea. And lastly, for the melee updates, there really aren't any specific to melee. This is actually for all combat styles, but it's the only thing that actually affects melee. They've changed, so now when you pass your accuracy roll, you will always guarantee at least 1 damage. If you don't know how RuneScape works, before, they would make you pass an accuracy check. If you miss the accuracy check, you would always hit a 0. If you pass the accuracy check, you would hit anywhere from 0 to your max hit, distributed equally. And so now they've just changed it so you're going to hit 1 to your max hit, which very slightly increases your DPS everywhere and makes it more clear when you pass an accuracy check, which most of the time, whether you hit a 0, didn't really matter if you passed the accuracy check or not, if you were just hitting a 0 either way. But for certain things, like for example, the Dragon Warhammer, you needed to know whether you passed the accuracy check to know if you reduce their defense. Which you only knew when it hit a number. So technically you could reduce their defense while hitting a 0, but now you don't do that, and everywhere is just going to be slightly higher damage. So that's just sort of cool, but realistically not much has changed for melee. Man, just running around, I was just trying out the no autocast delay on the standard spellbook, and it just feels so much better. I remember when I was on Leagues and I didn't have a powered staff, I was using a Staff of the Dead for TOA, and it just felt so clunky having to stop 1 tick early to stand there to then attack on the next tick. Now it just feels like you can just run around and just click on stuff and it just casts spells. I don't know, it just feels so much better. This is gonna make like bringing the standard spellbook and a Tome of Fire into something like Olm way more viable, considering that's something that people would do for Ice Demon. I don't know, it just feels good. This is something that should have been in the game so long ago. I don't know why that autocast delay ever existed in the first place, but yeah, very cool update, Jagex. I'm looking forward to messing around with it. It's going to change the meta at a lot of places, so previous setups might not be as good as they were before. But yeah, cool update, but that's all that there is, so now we can finally go and roll a new task. Alright, here we go, back on the spreadsheet. We can complete the Godswords dungeon task. Maybe the best Godswords dungeon task I've ever had in terms of, like, end results. And, let's see what we're gonna go do. Get 1 new unique from Elite Clues. Okay. I'm always skeptical when it comes to the Elite Clue tasks. I've had some pretty bad luck on these in the past. And I'm not sure how many I have in the bank. I'm just in the middle of a farm run here. But on the last Elite Clue task in the last episode, I think I actually finished the task with a few left. So I think I have a few caskets, but realistically, I'm not hopeful that I have enough to have a unique in there already, which means that we're going to have to go back to killing something. I'm probably going to go back to Muspa. I think I still want to try and complete that Venator bow, so yeah, I think that's the plan. Hopefully I have a bunch of caskets though, and maybe we're already done. And the moment of truth, 6 elite caskets. Not great, but not terrible. There's a chance. We have opened 117 and gotten 15 uniques, so I don't know, let's just do it. Yeah, that's That's pretty much what I expected. Okay, cool. Honestly, as much as I complain about elite clues, this does give me a good chance to go back to Muspa and try and get a couple more Venator shards for the bow. I think a Vendor bow would be sick to have on the account. And just another thing that would add to my Fortis Coliseum setup now that I have my Sarah Godsword. So, I don't know, maybe that's something in the future. So I think we will be going back to the Phantom Muspa. I like how this update has me questioning, like, everything I know. Like, I'm going to a boss that I've killed 500 times, and I'm like, wait, should I bring this? Is this still the best thing? What about this? Maybe this? Nothing's changed. It's exactly the same. By the way, this is the Muspa log, in case you were curious. 461 KC, 3 Venator shards to my name. So a little bit unlucky there. Hopefully we get another 2 relatively soon. And other than that, nothing much has really changed. The only upgrade I have is a Brimstone Ring instead of the Ring of Shadows. And I guess the autocast delay is going to be nice. Or at least the no autocast delay, you know what I mean. Hey, a PB, nice. That felt so fast. Yay, let's go. I don't know why I said yay like a children's cartoon character, but there we go. Shard number 4, 1 more to go. All right, as long as I get the Venator shard right here, then we're exactly on rate. Well, never mind. There's 500 KC. As long as I get the next shard within, like, let's say 100 KC before 600, then I'd be pretty happy. This boss is kind of annoying to grind. It's not the worst boss by any means, but I'm definitely a little bit over it by now. So let's just get one more shard, please, game. So another little random update for you here, but I just finished a farm run in between my Muspa trips, and I decided to do the math on how much Herblore XP I actually have banked here. And if I turn all of these herbs into potions, including the 4,500 Harlanders that I have, I actually have 99 Herblore banked right here. Now, I would need to gather some secondaries, most notably these dwarf weeds, but yeah, this is 99 Herblore. If I really wanted it, I could do it right now. I probably won't, and in fact, I definitely won't, but we are getting close. Unfortunately, these Harlanders are a majority of the XP. There's like 330k XP here, 340k XP. So if I don't want to have to use those, I'm going to need to do a lot more farming, but we're like right there. It's pretty close. Okay, well, I actually take it back. I could very easily use these Harlanders. I wouldn't be getting the 72.5 XP that they're valued at here in the XP tracker, but I would be getting 60 XP per herb if I just went and collected a bunch of volcanic ash. You can use volcanic ash to make compost potions, which I've never done in my life or even really heard of. So if I actually just gathered like 4,500 volcanic ash, that's like a lot of Herblore XP and could easily get 99 pretty soon. So maybe I'll do that in my spare time. I also need more volcanic ash just for super compost because I am out of that. So maybe when I'm bored, I'll just go and collect like 6,000 volcanic ash. But yeah, that's kind of cool. I didn't even really know that was a thing. Okay, hello, good morning, gamers. Today is the last day I have to record this video, so I'm hoping to get a couple things done. 1, I would like to get my last Venator shard. 2, I would like to actually get at least 1 elite clue from Muspa, would be very nice. And 3, I actually did last night, I was watching a movie, and I went and mined 10,000 volcanic ash. So I can make my like 4,500 compost potions, and then I should have enough volcanic ash for a very long time. So I'm going to start working my way through those as well, probably while I eat and do other things. So yeah, that's the plan today. Back to Muspa. Man, I wasn't even recording. There's another PB. That's crazy. 217, I'm zooming. Let's go! Oh my god, the dream! A Venator shard and an elite clue of the same kill. Let's go! The chances of that are actually insane. I'm pretty sure elite clues are like a 1 in 47 with the elite combat achievements done, and then 1 in 100 for the vendor shard, and yeah, I got them both the same kill. Let's go. I can make my bow, finally. So I ended up doing 97 Muspa kills since the start of this task, where I've only got that 1 elite clue, which I should have seen around 2, and I've got 2 vendor shards, which I should have seen around 1. So I guess, you know, you give some, you take some, and yeah, I get a Venator bow, finally. Okay, first things first, we actually have to make the bow. You just have to combine the 5 shards together. It doesn't actually use any Ancient Essence to make it, and there it is. And then you charge it with the Ancient Essence. I believe it can hold 50,000. And there we go. I've got myself a charged Venator bow. It looks sick, and let's talk about it for a sec. Okay, so the Venator bow, it is one of those items that you don't bring to a lot of places, but when you use it, it's so good, it's almost irreplaceable. And most notably on the wiki, it says places like Fortis Coliseum, Grotesque Guardians, Barbarian Assault, the Whisperer, Slayer Task, Nightmare Zone, sure. And what it does is you charge it with the Ancient Essence, and it uses 1 per shot, which allows the arrows to ricochet off the initial target to hit up to 2 more enemies. So for example, something like Grotesque Guardians, you shoot the one guy, it bounces off the melee guy, and can hit the guy that's weak to range twice, which makes it really strong there. For the Whisperer, you can shoot the groups of souls, so you only have to shoot once, and you can kill 3 souls at a time. For Fortis Coliseum, you can shoot the Warband guy, the one that's weak to the mage, the one that's weak to range, and then have a bounce off the other 2. It's just a really niche item, but super strong in certain situations. And yeah, it'll give me a chance to use my 76,000 rune arrows that I've saved up. But yeah, I want to go shoot something. Okay, so this is sort of how it works. As you can see, I'm just shooting 1 target and it bounces between them. And the reason people use this so much, for example, here at Abyssal Demons, because of the way the arrow bounces, it'll generally just aggro all of them for you. And it's like super AFK. Once you click on one of them, like, yeah, sure, you'll teleport around a bit, but you'll just stay in combat for a really long time. Turn on auto retaliate, and it's like free AFK Slayer experience. Now, not super useful for me. I'm 99 Slayer, by the way. But yeah, this is just an example of sort of like what it does, and it's awesome. But anyways, like I said, this isn't like a huge game changer or anything. It's very niche, but cool to have. And honestly, now I'm just happy I don't have to go back to Muspa anytime soon. So yeah, that's neat, and we can move on. I've got an elite clue to do. Alright, and I got the casket. I've also been working my way through my herbs. I went and made all those compost potions and a bunch of other potions. So we're actually only 334k away from 99 herb lore, which is almost doable, to be honest. Actually, I think I could if I went and got more Wines of Zamorak, but I don't really want to. So but that should be in the near future. For now, we got a casket, and I'm going to open it, and I'm going to get a unique, and we're going to move on. Let's go! Wow, I didn't expect that to work. Top hat and a master clue. Wow, today has been just a great day. Let's go. Alright, well, my happiness has been cut short almost immediately. Zamorak Godsword is one of the few master clues that I cannot do, so that is going to have to be dropped. I don't see myself getting a ZGS anytime soon, even though I have a blade now, but yeah, so that's a little sad, but hey, let's go! I'm actually so happy there was a unique in that elite clue. This was going to be the last thing that I did in this video, so now we get to end it on a high note, go and roll a new task, and then we'll wrap up the video. Okay, here we go back on the spreadsheet, complete the task, and let's see what we're going to do next video. I don't even know what I want at this point. I've had such a good day on RuneScape today, I don't even think I care. Give me anything. Get 1 unique from raids. Honestly, that might be the perfect task right now. In the next video, we will jump back into some raids. Honestly, this might be the best task for me right now. I have so many upgrades available still. Fang and a Lightbearer and a Shadow from TOA and a Dex and, well, pretty much everything else from Chambers of Xeric as well. I'll probably end up doing what I did before, where I do Chambers of Xeric when I have teammates to do it with and TOA when I'm by myself. So looking forward to that in the next episode, but for now, that's going to have to do it from me. If you enjoyed the video, make sure you give it a like and check if you're subscribed, as those are the 2 best ways to help my videos with the YouTube algorithm. And other than that, I'll see you in the next one. I want to give a big thank you to all of my channel members, but a special thank you to my Tier 3 Big Spoon channel members, Alchemist BTW, Jack Staumer, Zach Martin, Luxitaire, Tony Adkins, Dolph, and Fading Shadow. And if you want to see your name here in the credits for the rest of the season, consider becoming a channel member. The lowest tier is only $2 a month, and it really helps me out. Thank you.